What role does fear and retaliation play in aviation safety? Hi, I'm Morgan, and this is an aviation safety alert. A lot of data in aviation doesn't get reported, shared, or make it into the system that is responsible for preventing aviation accidents. Although bringing together all of the different sources of data and being able to analyze that and capacity are issues, one of the major factors that contributes to unreported or hidden data in aviation safety is related to fear and retaliation. Fear and retaliation discourage sharing or reporting of data across aviation, and that includes suppliers, manufacturers, maintenance, pilots, flight attendants, every aspect of aviation. This part is going to be about pilots. ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organization, has a section on safety culture. Specifically, it offers guidance on the promotion of positive safety culture and how this applies across aviation and how this can be used to prevent accidents in the future using existing data. A lot of this focuses on management practices, and that applies even in a situation with pilots, because pilots still have a chain of command where they report things. So how would fear and retaliation affect the data that comes from pilots? This is the ASRS system, which is the Aviation Safety Reporting System. This is something that is owned and operated by NASA. If you look at the top of the page, the first thing that you see is confidential, voluntary, and non-punitive, and that is there for a reason, and that matters. There was a lack of reports being made by pilots in reference to anything safety related. Fear of enforcement and litigation for reporting are the reasons that there was a lack of data coming from pilots, and this system, the ASRS system, was created to overcome those obstacles. This advisory from the FAA from 2021 on Aviation Safety Reporting Program cites that the effectiveness of the program in improving safety depends on free, unrestricted flow of information from the users of the National Airspace System. And this part is important. The FAA will take corrective action as necessary to remedy defects or deficiencies. The FAA plays a dual role, and that contributes to the fear of retaliation and reporting safety concerns from pilots. The FAA regulates and promotes safety, but also prosecutes for violations. The report I was previously citing, these are the two topics. It is de-identification of the person reporting. If you watched one of my first videos on pilot error, you can see how every aspect of aviation, from the manufacturer to the airline to the regulators, everyone is looking for a cause, and the cause is to identify where to place the blame and where to take corrective action. Understandably, every person involved in whatever that incident is wants to take the blame and the corrective action and give it to someone else. This means that in investigating a claim that a pilot made, they would also look at the pilot. This is where costs come in. The cost to blame and corrective action being placed on a pilot is much cheaper than cost and corrective action being placed on a regulatory body, on a manufacturer, on a maintenance operation, or on an airline. A government accountability report noted that the FAA has access to some of the voluntary reported data, but not all carriers and aviation personnel participate in the FAA's voluntary reporting system. And this is true of a lot of the different databases that exist and reporting systems that exist to report concerns. And if you'll note here, about half of the databases lack an important control. Managers do not review the data prior to entry into the data system. A pilot and a manager, whether at an airline or at a manufacturer, have two completely different roles. Although managers are tasked with ensuring aviation safety as well, they also have a dual role, and that is ensuring that that company, whether it's an airline or a manufacturer, performs well financially. There are a lot more aspects of this that I would like to talk about, and I will have to come back for a part 2. I don't like for my videos to be longer than about 5 minutes. In this series, I'm also going to include something at the end of each one of these videos. Fear and retaliation are major issues and drivers for hidden or missing data in aviation safety. Conflicts of interest exist across every possible type of report that can be made and get into the hands of everyone involved. So my preference is an independent agency for reporting. The Foundation for Aviation Safety has a Submit a Safety Report section to their website. These reports can be flight related, like from a passenger perspective, or aviation safety related. Depending on which one of those you choose, you'll get a different drop-down menu. This is the first one. This is the second one. For the second part regarding fear and retaliation specific to pilots in aviation safety, I'm going to try to find some specific examples of how this is manifested across the industry. And the reason I intend to share the independent aviation watchdog reporting system is because for every aspect of aviation, your reporting system that exists within your company or your role goes through a process. And during that process, they're going to also be looking at you. In theory, that sounds reasonable that they would look at the person making the report. However, in the past, this has been used to retaliate and create the fear that exists within aviation in reporting the issues that people see.